Every time you turn on social media, there seems to be a new health hack that's going to dramatically improve your health, help with longevity, reduce inflammation, make you feel better. Here's the deal. Most of them are terribly, terribly overrated. We're going to talk about the top 5 most overrated health hacks. Let's go. I'll start with the first one.
Overrated. Can I preface this first before you ruin all of our partnerships?
Well, let me say the first one
That's
first.
probably smart. Yeah,
we got to say the first one before we lose people first. Then we'll get into this stuff. Okay, so morning routine. I think that's got to be one of the top most overrated health hacks. Okay, why are they overrated?
Yeah.
It's not because what we're about to talk about doesn't have value. It's that they're overrated.
It's that it's not one of the big rocks.
That's right.
To me, this is the thing, because obviously we're going to say some things and people will be like, wait a second, you guys promoted this. You said, yes, there's all the things we've ever promoted, we use and we like. But one of the things we've always been very consistent on this show is telling people what are the big things that move the needle.
You need to look here first.
Yeah.
This is like secondary. It's ancillary to this.
100%.
And so I know we're going to get some pushback on these, but I love it. It's a good discussion. It's staying true to how we've always communicated these things. Doesn't mean that they can't be valuable. Doesn't mean they haven't helped some people along the way and been a big deal for them. But generally speaking, there is really a handful of things that really move the needle.
That's right.
If you just did those things, you would be 90% healthier and fitter than everybody else. If you just did that. And all the other stuff, are nice to have.
That's right. So all the things we're going to talk about, starting with morning routines, are overrated because you see so much content around them that you think they do more than they actually do. Now, part of this is the reason why these things are overrated is either because they sell a product, which, look, all companies have to profit. There's nothing wrong with that. But what that can do is that can skew the information that you receive, or how much of the information you receive comes from things that are profitable, which makes you believe, because of the amount of content, that is worth more than it actually is. Now, with morning routines, they tend to get a lot of views. So people like to post their morning routines or talk about them. Mm-hmm. And it's like this thing that you do and it sounds like magic.
4 a.m. club.
But the truth is there's some value in them, but it doesn't outrank all the other important things. And it's gotten ridiculous with morning routines.
There's the most viral thing on the internet right now is the guy's morning routine. It's going crazy. And everybody's, the reason why it's going crazy too is everybody's making spoofs of it and making fun of it too.
Well, it's gotten so crazy because 9 out of 10 people who see these videos are like, dude, I got to be at work at this time. I got kids to get up. My kid woke up in the middle of the night.
This is what I have to do?
I got to wake up 2 hours before to make all this stuff happen. Is that okay? Let me put it to you this way: getting more sleep is far more valuable for 99.9% of people than waking up 2 hours early to do the perfect morning routine.
Have you guys ever heard?
100%.
Have you guys ever heard Alex Hormozi go on this tangent?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
You guys, Dylan, you have to cut that in right here because I want these guys to see that edit. His take on morning routines is, I think, probably one of my favorite.
He loves to compete against somebody that has that mentality, right? Because what if they don't get that?
Yeah.
What if they don't get their perfect scenario morning routine? Now their whole day's fucked.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you navigate?
Right.
Yeah.
Some people have morning routines. Some people don't. Some people don't like to be on camera without their evening routine of face pickup. I think you can do whatever you want. I like to get to work as fast as I can. Other people like to not do that. What do you like to do?
Drink my coffee.
We're all gonna die eventually. Do whatever you want.
So I'm 100% in that camp. I've also always, because I know there's a lot of people too that try and connect it to the correlation of millionaires, and they all have this get up at 5 a.m., do this. And I'm not that guy. I never have been that guy. And I've tried to be that guy so many times I've just never been a morning person.
Same.
And never been able to stick to it and be consistent with it. And I've fallen for the propaganda of, man, this is what's keeping me from the next level. You know what I'm saying? I can't make enough because I can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do these things, And so For the longest time, I definitely tried to be that guy.
I'm proud of two things right now. Just listening to you talk, Sal, your transformation getting into like Christianity, and Adam, his transformation in conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Those two things.
Yeah, it's great. Well, a lot of conversions happening.
Yeah.
No, I think so. What you find, the reason why you see the data that shows that people that make this much money or have this much success tend to have a morning routine is what you're probably looking at is what's called reverse causation. The kind of person that tends to succeed also tends to structure and plan things in their day and prioritize things in their day. So that oftentimes includes some kind of a structured morning, which allows them to get more work done or allows them to do, or also what it also does is it tends to encourage them to go to bed early. Because here's why I think this is overrated. People will lose sleep to try to get their morning routine.
Yeah.
Oh no, even though I'm going to bed at midnight, I got to be up at 6 so I could do my morning routine. No, like more sleep is 10 times more valuable than your morning routine.
Or to the point that Justin was making is like you missed the iced bath, or you missed the first
look at the sun for 15 minutes.
Yeah, whatever your like steps you have, you miss one of them and it throws your day off. Or you look at already, you start the day with a failure because you didn't accomplish this thing that you put so much credit in, like, oh, it's so valuable. And it's like, no, it's not. You should be able to perform on no rest on one night. You should be able to perform if like rushing out your door some days, and other days where you got 2 hours to slowly wake up and do your. Like
what you're talking about is just the inflexibility because of the fact that you make it so important.
Yes,
you make it so important.
Yes,
no, 100%. Next up, you kind of mentioned it, cold plunge. Now, is there value to cold plunge? Yes. But how important is it or impactful is cold plunging to eating healthy, getting good sleep, and exercising? It's not even in the same universe, okay? Now, why is cold plunging so popular? Well, you could sell products around it, and also it looks cool. It's really hard. It's something people like to brag about, I think. There is some value to it for things like inflammation, immune system boosting. But when it comes to inflammation and immune system boosting, are there things that are far more impactful? Absolutely. And so for that reason, cold plunging is overrated. People think it does more than it actually does. And again, it has value, but it doesn't have the kind of value that I think that people subscribe to.
I love cold plungings, and I also 100% agree with you saying. I actually just got asked a question the other day on my live questions. I only have so much time, Adam. What is better for me to do, cold plunging or sauna? And I said all the research points to sauna.
That's right.
As far as health benefits and the ROI on your time, you get way more benefits for that. That's what the science says. Doesn't mean I don't like cold plunging and I don't see the benefits from it. It's just, it's so, and I think it's so popular, Sal, for the same reasons why OCR is popular. Is because we live in such a soft society that doing this hard thing is like this big accomplishment for so many people.
And then you want to talk about
because let me tell you, it is hard to get up in the morning.
The retention for going in the sauna is much higher than with the cold plunge. There's a lot of value in cold plunge and there's a lot of science wrapped into that. But in terms of adherence, you have to kind of balance that out. Like, it's going to be a real challenging one to maintain.
And when it comes back to the way Sal started this conversation, it's like, it's not the big rock. Is that if you're somebody who's already built cold plunging into your routine, you love it, it's done all these benefits, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person who's trying to figure this out. That's like, I hear all these things online that are so good and they all attach to studies and research that say it's so awesome. And they're going, I don't know where to start. And they're overwhelmed. The stuff we're talking about right now, don't waste your time with right now.
Well, also too, you can just use your shower and like gradually go cold and then whatever the resources. If I'm constantly like, if I wake up and I'm taking a shower, I'm going to do that every day. If I can just start like gradually bringing that temperature down and get like a lot of the same values, now I don't have to buy, really invest in this whole elaborate operation.
Yes, but again, it's just overrated because people perceive it to be much more impactful than it actually is. It's not going to change your life like fixing your diet, not even close.
True.
Next up, our favorite. Today's giveaway is MAPS Anabolic Advanced. If you want to win that, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. We also have a sale this month. MAPS HIT and the Extreme Fitness Bundle, 50% off. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and use the code April50 for that discount. Back to the show. Overrated thing to talk about, which is supplements. Supplements, supplements get a lot of airtime. They get a lot of articles. They get a lot of promotion because they're money-making products. So when you're a fitness company or a health company or a fitness expert or influencer or whatever, part of the way you make money is probably going to be around selling products, and many of those products are going to be supplements. And so when you look at an influencer's content, a disproportionate amount of the stuff they talk about is probably going to be related around studies and things that talk about or support supplements. And what it does is it skews just how important supplements are. Aside from filling nutrient deficiencies, okay, because that's a big deal. If you have a nutrient deficiency, in other words, if you're not getting enough nutrients to thrive, you're not getting enough vitamin D or magnesium or vitamin K or vitamin C, you're sick. You have symptoms of a deficiency. Filling that is definitely life-changing. But above and beyond that, supplements are maybe 1%, maybe. When you look at the whole pie of what impacts your performance, your fitness, your health, it's maybe 1%. People love them. They love taking them. I am a supplement addict, admittedly, but it's overrated in the sense that they just don't come close to the boring stuff that we talk about. Again, exercise, diet, sleep,
This is why I've always liked the analogy of supplements are like a spoiler on a car. And if there's a reason why every race car has a spoiler, the downforce it creates adds to the ability to get traction, take corners. But the percentage of what it does for that race car compared to
just the engine,
the suspension, the tires, the engine, the driver, all the other things is just, it's not even in the same universe. So the guy that has the great car, the great driver, all those things that doesn't have a spoiler will crush the guy with the best spoiler in the world that doesn't have all the other things working for them. So I've always loved the analogy of looking at supplements like that. Yet every pro driver has one of those on their car because it does create downforce. It does help, but it's after you've checked all the other boxes where it makes a difference. Then I'm going to check that box.
Imagine you're going to play a game of tug of war, and there are 4 people to pick from. 3 of them are 250-pound strongman athletes, and 1 of them is a toddler. Are you and you have to pick 3. Who are you going to pick? The toddler, or are you going to pick the 3 big dudes? You're going to pick the 3 big dudes. Now, if you could use all 4 because you're already picking the 3 dudes, you can throw the toddler on there. It'll give you a little extra help, but it's not going to come close. That's literally what supplements are. They're just overrated. And how do I know they're overrated? Because here's what happens. Somebody asked me for fitness advice, and it's one of the first questions they ask me. I get more messages from friends and family members about supplements that they've heard me talk about than about diet and exercise. And these are people that don't eat right and don't exercise. I got my cousin sending me a text. Hey, Sal, I saw this ad for whatever that you were talking about this. Well, and I'm like, is it worth it? Well, I mean, are you eating right? How's your
what are you doing right now?
And they don't want to hear that, right? They just want to hear about the supplement that I talked about. It's like, look, if you're not, how about this? Hit your protein intake. That's going to crush any supplement I talk about. It's
always so hard for people to wrap their brain around this because it's in the same breath. I can tell you, I use supplements. I love supplements. I use them all the time. Yet I have never advised somebody when they ask me they need help with something that this was the answer. Supplements have never been everybody's life that I have helped changed or dramatically shifted their body composition. It has never been due to the supplement recommendation given. Never.
Yep.
Yet I use them. And I like them. So I can balance the 2 of those. I can say, I like playing around with supplements. There's certain things I like to take. I feel better when I take this thing. But when it comes to advising somebody who I'm trying to help, it doesn't even come close to what moves the needle.
That's right. Next up, blue light blocking glasses. Blue light blocking glasses are overrated because when you compare them to simply not being on electronics or being in the dark for a little bit before bed, it doesn't even come close. Yeah. It's literally like a Band-Aid over a gaping wound versus not getting cut in the first place. Okay, so blue light blocking glasses, better than nothing. But not being on your computer or on your phone before bed,
much more impactful.
Way better. Way better. Now, why are they overrated? Because people don't change their lifestyle.
Yeah, they don't turn the electronics off.
Because they're like, I got the blue light blocking, this will fix everything.
Yeah.
And it does make a little bit of a difference, but it doesn't come close to not turning those things on in the first place.
I mean, I think this is why there was such a huge market for this and why it got really popular again is because we've become so addicted to these tools, right? iPhones and iPads and televisions. And heaven forbid we put together a night routine where we shut it all down by 6 o'clock and then we go by candlelight, or we turn all the blue lights off and have something like a salt lamp. Like, heaven forbid we do that.
Right.
That's just too much to ask or too much to do. I'd rather spend the $100 on the high tech glasses and just throw them on, but keep my behaviors. And so that's why there's become a market for it, and that's the value that it has. If you know that about yourself, that you're going to struggle and have that, well, then it's a decent aid, right? But it's a Band-Aid is what it is. When there is a free solution that's superior. And I feel like,
superior.
which is also how these things fell in this, again, overrated category. Doesn't mean that I don't use it. Doesn't mean that I don't see value in it. It just means it's so overrated because there's a free solution that's better. If there's a free solution that's better,
So much better.
I would always want to communicate that first. And then it's like, listen, and if you know you're not going to do that, okay, sure, you can have a pair of those and then throw on. That's why I got a pair on my bed right next to my nightstand. My goal always is to not have to use them and to not be on my phone. But then there's times where I'm like, oh, I got to grab this thing. So I have them right next to my bed so I can throw them on. Then I can get on my phone.
Totally. Next, fasting. Fasting has some great spiritual implications or applications. I think done in that context with prayer or meditation, I think there's a lot of value there. But fasting for health, fasting for fat loss, fasting for what? Super overrated. Calorie deficit gives you pretty much exactly the same benefits. It's been sold as this like incredible cell autophagy and it helps your body with longevity or whatever. And okay, we'll compare it to calorie deficit. Same exact
Increased
thing.
growth hormone.
Super
This
overrated.
one to me is a bit comical on how overrated it is and how big of suckers we all are. Because they've been doing this for thousands of years. Fasting has been around for not hundreds, not thousands of years. People have been fasting, and they never once thousands of years ago was it for weight loss. What we have found in the last 50 or 60 years is because, man, and this is a lot of times how science works. Like, man, humans just keep doing this thing. What is it about it? Let's dive into it. Let's read it. I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot of health benefits that came with it. Oh wow, now let's attach a diet or something to it and sell it to make it even more popular. But the truth is, we've been doing it for a very long time, but not for the reasons that it's marketed to you. We just found out
consumerism just twisted it.
Yeah, we found a way to monetize it, and they've done an incredible job of marketing and selling to us. Again, doesn't mean I don't use fasting. I think it's an incredible tool. I've used it with multiple of my clients. I use it personally myself, but not for the reasons or how it's being marketed for fat loss. I think it's a terrible idea. It's better for the spiritual aspect, the discipline of detachment. The practice of detachment,
not
in my
feeding
opinion,
the flesh, weakening
is
yourself.
incredibly healthy for all people.
Abstaining.
But not what we've attached it to as far as the science of all the things that Sal pointed out.
100%. All right, now let's talk about some of the most underrated health hacks. Pre-bed routine. Like a pre-bed routine is so underrated. It's so much more important than your morning routine.
Oh, yeah.
Something that sets you up for good sleep has such crazy ramifications down the line because good sleep is so powerful.
That's where all the magic happens.
It's so powerful for your health. So doing a pre-bed, hour before bed routine that helps with improving your sleep, something that helps improve your sleep is always super valuable.
Here's the thing too. There's a lot of other byproducts that happen or positive things that happen because of the morning routine. What ends up happening, or evening routine, if somebody puts together an evening routine, okay, and it's a good one, that means they're shutting electronics off earlier. So that the detachment of that is already got enough health benefits.
Right.
Not to mention it's going to help you fall asleep. You also will have to shut down your eating earlier than what you normally would. That's got all kinds of research and benefits to it. That's going to improve digestion. That's going to improve your sleep. You then are going to get a great night's sleep, which then sets you up for a great morning and great success for the next day. I mean, the downstream effects of disciplining yourself, which by the way, doesn't cost any money, disciplining yourself to put together a night routine literally trumps all the other things that we said are overrated. You put together, the people listening right now spend $0, but put together a good evening routine like the 3-2-1 or something before the end of the night. That trumps all the other things that we just said were overrated. All of it combined.
Yes.
Like just get that down, and the positive benefits you will get from that. And that's what makes those other ones overrated. That's what makes this so underrated.
Now I'm going to blow people's mind, okay? I'll say this very confidently. 80% or more of the benefits of the pre-bed routine is because it makes people go to bed on time. So when they go an hour before their bedtime, here's my routine, they know they're going to go to bed on time. So most of the benefits of the fact that person's going to bed on time.
Yeah, and consistent.
That's right.
Yes.
Next up, walking. Walking. The data on walking daily, often, and its health effects and for longevity are incredible. And there's a few reasons why. One, we could still do it without crazy dysfunction, so the injury risk of it's low. Two, it's not a crazy workout. It's that people don't need to change and structure it. It's something you can just do whenever you want. Yeah. Three, you can do it all day long. And it's got all this great benefits for health, insulin resistance, for mobility, for digestion. This was so underrated as a trainer. I used to underrate this as a trainer. The biggest mistake I made as a trainer, it was a lot of mistakes, but one of the top 3 mistakes I made was underrating walking for my clients. If I could go back in time, this would be one of the things I would have changed.
This is why this is one of my favorite ones as listed as underrated, because I also made that mistake. It would have fallen in the overrated category for me if you asked me in my first 2 years as a personal trainer. That's how naive I was to how, but I was so on the opposite end of the spectrum of understanding how powerful, how valuable. Something that I used to scoff at when people told me this is what they did for exercise has now become the number one first thing that I recommend before anything else. So before I even tell someone to do some sort of a MAPS routine or follow a diet a certain way, I encourage just walking, starting them there. It's such a good place to start everybody and to build on. And it has so many good downstream benefits from just creating that as a habit.
It's funny because even when we had Alex Whitehair on, and I didn't even put together, like when I was an athlete and I was like, at my peak, how completely sedentary we are. And we would train really hard, but then the whole majority of the rest of the day, you'd take like all the rest of the hours where I'm sitting down,
mush out on video games,
mushing
resting.
out. Yeah, and again, like there was, because you're younger, and I could kind of rebound. But if I would have just added a consistent just walking for recovery, like man, when my performance would have increased substantially.
Totally.
So.
Next up, sunlight. Sunlight is incredibly underrated. Like go outside. The studies and the data on how this impacts your mental health this sunlight would be if we could sell it like an antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug, it would be a blockbuster. That's how underrated that's how powerful it is. By the way, we've known this for a long time, and for some reason we forgot. But it wasn't that long ago, maybe a generation or two ago, when people were like, man, I don't feel good. I feel kind of down. Go outside. Yeah. Literally, that was the recommendation we used to hear all the time. Go outside, go for a walk, get some sunlight, see how you feel.
Immediate mood elevation.
That's it. Yeah. It's so powerful that lacking it is an almost guaranteed way to cause depression. That's what the data shows.
I felt like, I knew this, but when I had Max, this really became super apparent to me. And there's something about that, right? Like, becoming a parent is one of the greatest like self-awareness tools, right, that we have. And so, sometimes it shows you how numb we can be to even our own feelings or what's working or not working for us. We're so distracted and everything else. It's like, I wasn't paying attention to, how do I feel when days I get 4 hours of sunshine and then other days when I get no hour? Like I wasn't really connecting those dots. I knew the benefits of sunlight. I know that, but I never really tried to peer into that until I had a son and I watched it, until I could see it in front of me. And I saw the patterns and I went, oh my God. That was one of the biggest self-awareness tools for me to realize like how much sunlight. And anybody who's had a kid, pay attention to the days that you take your kid out to the pool and in the park all day long, and then compare that to the day that they're in the house watching TV or indoors all day long, and tell me you don't see a significant difference in their behavior, in their sleep, in their attitude, or everything.
Yeah.
That's how radically it changes them.
It affects inflammation.
And this doesn't like go away when you turn 5 or something. Your body wants that. It needs that. It's forever important. And we just have found a way to try and, supplement it or subsidize it and be distracted and not pay attention to it. But it's very important.
Yeah, there's a study that showed that hospital rooms where there was a window that faced the rising sun, patients that stayed in those rooms left the hospital a day or two faster. Just from the sun rising and them being exposed to sunlight. Yeah. Next up, Whole Foods. Like Literally just whole natural foods with one ingredient. Super underrated. This is how underrated it is, okay? If all everybody ever did, if they did nothing else with their diet, if all they ever did was only eat whole natural foods, we would solve the obesity epidemic by itself. Now, it wouldn't make people more fit or strong. They still need to exercise. But in terms of being overweight, this alone by itself would solve the problem. We see a significant drop in obesity just from this. This is so powerful that this became, after my years of being a trainer and a coach, after years and years of working with people, this became my go-to. At the very end, this is all I would do with people. I'd say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Just eat whole natural foods. Let's start with that. Nothing else? Yeah, let's just start with that. And people would lose 20, 30 pounds just from doing that alone. I wouldn't have to tell them to do anything else.
Well, we've speculated off air before talking about this. Like, could you imagine if we could just convince everybody to eat whole foods, walk every day, and weight train 1 day a week? Like now you're talking.
We'd fix most.
Now you're talking. You got everything. Like now you're fit. You're strong. You have a little bit of endurance with your ability to walk and stamina. Like, and compared with the benefits you get from whole foods, like that is not even getting into macros and trying to measure and track anything. That's not even getting super sophisticated with the training program or how many exact steps. That's literally like go walk every day, strength train 1 time a week, eat whole foods. Will like radically change 90% of most people's
lives.
There's
natural satiating limiters when you eat whole foods.
That exists.
It exists. It's in the fiber. It's in the, it's in the protein from the animals. It's there already. And so, like once we get into the engineering and ways to really increase sales, and you see that with like a lot of food products, it becomes a different thing.
Yeah. Processed foods are engineered to be like drugs. And the best studies we have on diet, the best studies where they can actually put people in a lab, watch them, control them, cross over, are done on processed foods versus whole natural foods. The difference is about 600 calories with the same feeling of satiety. Meaning,
substantial amount.
Eat as much as until you feel satisfied. When it's processed foods, it's 600 more calories a day. That right there is the obesity epidemic. Period. End of story. All right. Lastly, easily the most underrated health hack easily is hiring a coach. If everybody knew, if the world knew the value of working with a good coach, they would do nothing else. They would literally do nothing else. It would be the biggest, most booming business in America by far. There is nothing will give you a chance at solving your fitness and health challenges forever. Nothing comes close than hiring a guide that knows what they're doing. There is nothing more valuable. A coach is worth their weight in gold. No supplement, no routine, no online anything. Nothing comes close to a good coach. Good coaches literally change lives. We know this. They're more valuable than our podcast. We know this.
Shorten your timeline towards success. It's like, it's crazy that people don't consider a coach is like, that's literally like the biggest hack if you have any hacks.
Period.
It's such a bummer because I think at face value, people see how expensive it is and like, oh, that's so expensive. But if you calculated all the things that you spent money on attempting to lose that weight or to build that body.
On a hope and a whim.
Right. All the gimmicky machine, the newest machine thing that came out, or all the supplements, or all the diet books, or all the challenges you've signed. If you added up all those and whatever that dollar amount was, you invested.
You're not even adding up the healthcare costs, lost productivity of poor health. Like
not even adding that, dude. Just adding up the things that you've actively spent your money on in hopes that you were going to get this return in your physique. Even if you just spent a fraction of that on a coach or trainer, like 5 sessions with a really good coach and trainer will give you the return 10 times. On just that, even if you don't get to have them for an extended period of time, just the knowledge that you can get from those 5. Now, I do think it does matter the quality of the coach.
That's why I said
absolutely.
Good coach.
Because
that's the challenge.
Because unfortunately, and I guess this is the other part of this, or the challenge for the consumer who's like nodding their head like, yeah, I agree, but how do I know? And so that's the part that takes a little bit of work, right? A little bit of research, or going to a trusted source that you can trust that, okay, they would recommend a good person for me. Because, if you got me at 20 I mean, I might help you a little bit or gave you some decent stuff. But if I got you today versus then, the difference of what I could give you in 5 sessions versus what I could probably give you in 5 sessions 20 years ago is a significant.
This is why we're devoting so much time to coaches right now, is we're trying to create the standard and make it so that people are more aware of what constitutes a good coach, what the right philosophy is, what the right ethos is. And this will help people get good coaches, and it'll also get coaches to become good coaches. All right, I need to ask a favor of our audience. So we typically don't do this, but I talked to you about this yesterday, Adam. So Margaret, who works she does our customer service, and I just gotta say some nice things about Margaret. She loves what she does so much. She loves the people that she helps so much. She goes so above and beyond what she's supposed to do for customer service to help people.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I mean, she does such a great job. Well, anyway, she was in contact with this gentleman whose son is a huge fan of the show. His son is 15. His name is Callum Ferris, and he has high-grade glioma cancer, the 15-year-old does. And he's a huge fan. The kid's a huge fan. And so she was asking me advice, and we've sent this kid apparel. And so I'm like, man, can we do anything or whatever? Is there anything we can do? And they asked for prayers. They're asking for prayers for their 15-year-old son, Callum Ferris, and for people to visit his Instagram to support him. He's got a personal Instagram, but it's great. You can see the kid working out. He's wearing our gear and a lot of it. I mean, I went through and I was like, wiping away tears.
Oh, the coolest thing that I would love to see how cool would it be if this kid like overnight gets like thousands of followers?
Please.
And people supporting what that could potentially do for his spirits.
His Instagram is SJ and Ferris. So SJANDFERRIS. Callum is his name. If you're a Christian, pray for him to heal. But everybody get on his Instagram and just give this kid so much support. It would really, really
it'd be really cool to see.
Brighten up his day.
It'd be cool to see how many people rally behind that, Sal, and actually go do that. Because I mean, listen, small thing to ask. Not asking for money, not asking for you to do anything. Take a moment of your day.
Just let him know we're thinking about him. You know,
and support that.
Super awesome. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps. Just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show. All right, I'm going to go back to fitness. Study came out. I love studies that challenge my previous understandings or views. There was a really good study on carb timing. That's right, carb timing. So let me pull this up for you. So in the study, they were trying to see if does carb timing make a difference? Like consuming carbohydrates post-workout versus later in the day. Now, here's what we've seen in other studies. So initially it was like, yes, right after your workout, have some carbs, have some proteins, speeds up recovery because it gets glycogen to, replenish in the muscle.
Replenishes the stores.
Other studies show, many studies show glycogen gets replenished just the same. Okay, whether you do it right after you work out or whether you do it hours later in the workout. And so the difference was if you're going to work out in an hour or two, definitely eat carbs right away, replenish your carbs faster. Otherwise, it doesn't make a difference. Here's how cool this study was. This study looked at how carbohydrate intake post-exercise affected next day performance.
Oh, okay.
So 2 groups. One group had carbs right after the workout. The next group waited a few hours, then had carbs. Then they trained the next day. So both of them should be fully replenished. Right. Is there a difference in performance? Yes.
Really?
Yes, there was. The delayed carbohydrate group experienced a 30% reduction in next day high intensity.
30%?
Yep.
Reduction.
Despite similar muscle glycogen levels, they completed 5 fewer intervals and reported higher perceived exertion.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Another one for the bros.
Bodybuilders.
Another one for my bros.
It was
one for my bros.
By the way,
hey, let me tell you that in the bro bodybuilding community, we've been doing this for a long time. For sure,
that's been a bro thing.
80-90% of my carbohydrates, I always centered around my workouts, pre and post.
That's wild.
And
now I always felt it in the performance of the workout itself, like the before, right? And that's what studies show. But as far as like, if you were to ask me what's going to happen
Yeah, I
the
wouldn't
next
have
day,
attributed it
Here's-
to that.
no, and they had similar.
next day.
I mean,
Here's
I
the
think-
deal: they had similar glycogen levels.
Okay, so the study is cool, but to me, the thing that got me to do it, it just seemed logical that I just trained really hard and I depleted I just took that sponge and I wrung it out completely, and it is ready to suck up everything that it possibly could right now. It just made logical sense to me. Like, that would be the most optimal time to load it with all of these nutrients like carbohydrates and protein, and the bulk of it when it's wanting it the most. Then later in the day, when it's satisfied, I would try and mitigate the amount. Just
It
made
makes sense to me, yeah, too, from parasympathetic angle, right? So like that's another way to get into that state
Is to eat.
And again, yeah, replenishing the stores, providing the materials to really start that process occurring.
Which probably is what speaks to why they got to that parasympathetic and recovery process much earlier than the person who waited and delayed that.
It maybe. I mean, we're speculating, right?
Yeah, we're totally speculating.
I think that's a fair.
valid.
I think that's a fair theory. But had you asked me, hey, what do you think is going to happen in this study? Because here's what happened: they both trained hard. One group had carbs right after. The other group waited 3 hours. That's all. They just waited 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then the next workout was the following day. So again, previously, historically, if it was a workout right after, an hour after, 2 hours, I would have said, "Oh yeah, eat."
So
right afterwards.
let me since we're here, this is such a cool conversation for me because this was something I used to do. I didn't speak about it a lot on the show because again, there wasn't a lot of science to support, and I'm not going to be telling people what to do that I don't know how to articulate the science of why I do it or why it works. But I have always done it this way. When I am training to build and bulk, I follow this kind of a protocol. Most of my carbs around my workout, shuttle them all in right then and there, and that's what I do. When I'm on the cut, I go the opposite direction. I actually push the timeout because when I am in a cut, I'm not trying to make progress. I'm not trying to have the best workout the next day. I don't give a shit
You're trying to lean.
I'm trying to lean out. And the delay of eating is just, it would spread out the time between my meals and it was easier to eat less calories that way. And so I used to allow myself the hours to go by before I would feed when I'm in a cut. And that helped me stay in a low.
So here's
Do you think it's more anabolic on some level?
Maybe, but here's the interesting thing. I would like to see a study that controls the calories to see if there's a fat loss benefit from one or the other. Because I could argue on the opposite side, Adam. I could argue, if I wanted to, I could say, well, yeah, but then you'll perform better the following day, which would lead to better fat loss. I mean, who knows? This is just interesting to me.
No way. I mean, when you think about, that when you were trying to do fat loss, okay, the performance in the gym does not matter. The work is done in the calorie deficit.
Yes, but
that is where the real work is. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking that the labor they do plays a big role in fat loss. Nothing is more powerful than being consistent with the diet. And you know this, being in a deficit. One of the hardest things to do is discipline yourself to consistently stay in that deficit. So creating this level, maybe the science doesn't support being more anabolic. Maybe the science doesn't support that I would have better performance next day. But what it does support is if I carve out 3 hours that I don't eat when I normally would have ate at least once and then almost a second time, it's easier for me to hit my calorie targets.
Well,
that trumps.
I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is if they did a controlled study where the calories were the same, if they're identical, same calories.
Oh, I don't think that my way would win if you controlled that. Part of why I do it is a psychology.
That's right.
There's
which I think trumps everything.
And so that's my point. So the science obviously says the benefits. This new science is supporting eating most of those carbs right afterwards. Right. What I'm saying is that
promotes more hunger.
I would use that as a strategy when I'm bulking and I'm building. When I would switch to cutting, I would actually counter the science. Even though the science supports I should probably still eat a bulk of my carbs, it didn't matter at the science at this point. I know how hard it is to stay at a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit day in and day out. So I would stretch the window out so it would be easier to hit the calorie target.
And by the way, for people listening right now, Adam is speaking like a coach. And when you're training people, the most important thing you look at is what influences their behaviors. Way more important than what's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's way more important, right? Because if what Adam says is true, which I agree, it keeps your calories controlled easier. It's gonna trump whatever other value you may see. Nonetheless, study's interesting.
It is interesting.
I would have never guessed
It's
that.
interesting. And to your point, what sucks is that I actually think that my point would lose in the study if you took two groups and you controlled the calories.
But that's because it's controlled.
I know.
Yeah.
And this is an area of why I don't like, or this is where I like to discuss this stuff with people so they understand. It's like there's times, in my opinion, where it makes sense to follow the science. Like eating right after a workout right away to bulk and build because of the benefits of your performance the next day and how many more calories I can eat because I'm eating right away and then I'm going to eat again. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Totally.
I mean, it was logical to me to do that even before the science completely supported it. When I'm trying to cut, creating these a little bit longer windows between eating makes a lot of sense.
Most important thing to manage.
Right. Even though the
opinion.
science may not support that the best for building muscle or burning body fat.
Yeah, no, totally. All right, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to cut to, so I listened to the first, 4 minutes of a podcast today. So Real Recovery Talk is a podcast about addiction, and it's hosted by our friends Tom and Ben, who help run Rock Recovery. So they help people get off drugs. Well, anyway, they also have a podcast. It's been on air, by the way, for 7 years. Really good podcast.
Yep.
They had a woman on their show who heard about them through our podcast. Who it was like a miracle.
Such a
how
cool-
it all
such
came
a cool
together
story.
to bring her son to them to then get treatment. I listened to it this morning.
It was powerful.
So powerful. We typically don't do this. We're gonna go ahead and cut to so you guys can hear what happened, and so you can hear for yourself.
I still don't know the details of the trespassing, but what I do know is that previously, throughout the years, or year at least, police would pick him up, or they would call me, and they would have found him at a gas station. He would tell me he was just taking a rest, and they would say he was passed out, from being drunk. So I would always get these two different stories, but he had been stopped by the police multiple times over the year. So this time he was actually in jail, and this is my first experience in all of this. I've never had anyone, in jail, and I remembered that episode. And again, it was just less than 12 hours I had listened to that episode. I remembered it. And so then I went to your website, started filling out the application for the scholarship program. And then by the time I finished, I went down and I saw that you were literally 5 minutes down the road. 2.5 miles from me.
Yeah.
And here I'm thinking, at first I was thinking, okay, I think I can handle a flight to California. I can't afford to get him into a program, but I know I can muster up between my sons and I, a flight. And so I was trying to plan all that and praying to God, please. And so I stopped filling out the application. I've never hit submit. I got in the car and I came down here and was here at the door 3 minutes before you guys opened. And later it felt bad that I was banging on the door before you guys even opened. But just the fact that all of that came, the way it all came to be, that was God tapping on my shoulder saying, I got you.
Right.
I've got Randy. I've got you. And for you guys, and for Sal and Justin and Adam and Doug and Katrina and all of them, he used all of us to help this one person.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys and Sal and Adam and all, everyone at Mind Pump, you guys are an answer to a prayer.
Yeah.
He used you to help my son, and I will forever. I don't like to cry. So, I will forever be in your debt. If I'm on the other end of the world and you guys reach out and say, hey, we need yes, before you even finish the question, the answer is yes.
That was, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy story.
Yeah.
Crazy
It's hard not to get emotional.
It made me emotional
when
this morning,
you
big
when you hear
time.
that, and the fact that she was literally 2 miles away from the facility.
I mean, gives you the chills.
Yeah.
What's crazy about this is the part where she said that she goes out looking for her son, praying that he's not dead. I don't know if you guys. I know someone. I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to reveal who they are, but I know someone who struggled with addiction, and I know their mother very well, and it was like 5 years of hell.
Oh my God.
5. Now this kid got delivered out of it, and they're now actually help other people with addiction. But during that period of time, like I can't even imagine, going through that. But those guys at Rock Recovery they're such good guys. They're so good. They truly care about what they're doing. So one of the best places.
Yeah, no, it's been a really cool journey. We've known Tom and Ben they were huge fans of the show a long time ago, and we have had them on. We've been on their show. So they've been good friends for a long time. And I remember when Tom and I were first talking about working together, and I thought, I've never thought like that would be something that we would talk about, but I'm like, I believe so much in what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out to help
Something
and
will
support
make
it.
sense.
And at that time, I really didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what he would be able to offer to the audience or how he could support it. But it's really turned out to be something really cool. And this is just an example that it's only been a short time that we have been working with them, and to already start to hear some of these. We have another guy who's already like, how many months now is he deep into the?
Yeah. It's like
I think he's
2 months or
no.
3 months?
He's like 8.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He's 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months.
9 months
Yeah,
sober.
he's like
That's
9
right.
months sober that he's been in it, and so it's been really cool to see the people that listen to our show that have then found them and then have had success with it, especially with those things, because a lot of those clinics don't have a lot of success, and a lot of those clinics are in the business of recycling clients. And that was what connected Tom and Ben to us, is that, I mean, we gravitate towards disruptors of industries, right? Like we think we're a disruptor of an industry. They are trying to disrupt the industry by really change that perception around these recovery centers. And they are really, truly trying to have success with these people to where they never come back again. And it's good to see that, because I had a really bad taste in my mouth around these clinics after I saw that documentary, Body Counters, or is it
Body Brokers? I think.
Body Brokers. Yeah, I remember
right.
I talked about it on the show. I don't know if you guys remember.
So crazy.
Like hell years ago. It was like 5-6 years ago.
Became a
It was
crazy
such a
game.
hustle.
Yeah, and I had no idea what a hustle and how dirty it was. And so it was so cool to meet someone like Tom and Ben, who are very aware of how dirty it is, and they're trying to change that for the good.
Totally.
And to see things and stories like this unfold, it's been a really cool journey.
So I got something for you, Justin, because you are the Isometrics guru among us, and there was a study
I'll take
talking
that title.
about Isometrics are great. We've talked about them on the podcast. They work really well for connection, for strength, stability, super safe. It's this incredible way to amplify your training. But one thing that Isometrics do that I knew even before meeting Justin and really diving into Isometrics, just as a trainer, they were really good for pain. Isometrics are just really good for pain.
Analgesic effect. Yeah.
Somebody with the knee pain, like if I put them in an isometric quad contraction, it would oftentimes reduce the knee pain, right? Or if they had shoulder pain, if I can get them in the right position, create an isometric there.
Sometimes it's like immediate.
Crazy. So I went into, I'm like, what is it that's happening? And I thought it was, it's correctional movement. It's helping the body
Isn't there
move
some
more.
sort of a radiating effect that happens? Isn't that what's going
With the
on?
isometrics, there is.
There is an irradiation effect.
Yes. So it's called cortical inhibition. So there's actually there's a real phenomenon that's happening. I always thought it was through getting the person to move better, because now they're moving better. The pains. I think that plays a role. I definitely do. But what they're showing is that that what you're activating are these cortical areas that release inhibitory neurotransmitters like GABA, serotonin, and they activate the natural opioid system.
Relaxes it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
So chemically, like you're literally stimulating that by the amount of tension that you're producing.
So you're releasing natural pain relievers, natural
No
shit.
opioids
I didn't know that.
to the area,
like localizing it. Yeah.
right to the area.
Crazy.
Okay, so that makes me think this.
That's so rad.
That's super interesting, because I understand the benefits of how that feels when you do something like that. Isometrics before bed? Like, why would you not do that? I mean, I would think that would create.
If it doesn't get too stimulating, that's the only concern. Some people do well with that though.
Yeah. I think static stretching also has an effect like we're talking about. Might be a little better for before bed because it's more
parasympathetic.
That'd be interesting to compare the two then.
Yes.
Now that you,
I mean, for pain relief, I'll be honest with you. Like for pain relief, in my experience, static stretching can help. Isometrics were like magic every time.
Yeah.
If I could get the person in the right position, sometimes it's a challenge, right? Like just creating the isometric contraction that they can do that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But when I could do it, it was like.
Are you guys seeing all the other fitness influencers and everything starting to move and talk about it more?
About isometrics?
Oh yeah.
I
get lots of.
Now they're jumping on the wagon.
I get lots of DMs.
Well, that's good
from people. Yeah, no, it is good, and people going like, "Man, you guys called this one." It's like, well, I like to take the credit for isometrics, but isometrics have been around for a very long time.
It was a lost method and modality, but yeah, it's
but super underrated,
impactful.
Yes.
I mean, even myself, like I didn't use it a lot early on. I didn't understand the value of it until much later. And again, like we talked about some of the underrated things today, like walking, like isometrics, as far as types of training for people, just because too, everybody can do it. I don't care how injured or how immobile or how old you are.
Yeah.
I can incorporate where I can.
Or how advanced you are. You'll get benefits.
Right. Or even how advanced you are.
It benefits anybody. That's the thing. It's crazy. Yeah. Like you said, like doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your ability, doesn't matter. Like, yeah, if you're a beginner, advanced, because it'll fit in there. Like, because it's safe. So you can literally, generate that yourself intrinsically, and you can manage and mitigate the amount of intensity that you have.
Yeah.
So
now I want to ask you, Justin, because you're obviously filming yourself on this fitness journey. The goal is a 315 pound push press, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're using isometrics quite a bit.
I am, and especially in this first phase, in the first month, I was incorporating it quite a bit, and really too, I'm trying to train my central nervous system to respond and really produce, as much muscle recruitment as possible, because I have to exceed my current level. And so to be able to do that with rapid result, because it's a short window, I have 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this for a year and I'm going to string this out, it's going to look a lot different. If I'm trying to do this in a very condensed amount of time, like isometrics is like, I have to. Like this is one of those things because the recovery rate of it is so much greater. Like I can do that. It's not going to damage muscle tissue and any other kind of tissue like lifting heavy weights would.
What are you doing more, overcoming or holds, or is it equal?
Both. Yeah. But the yielding isometrics, I'm probably doing a bit more. So so I'm pushing, into
is that yielding
objects.
Or overcoming?
I'm pretty sure that was overcoming is the where you're holding.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that because I saw one where you had the barbell and you were pushing it
on
up
like the
into
safety
rack.
bars. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How long do you hold that for when you're doing that?
Yeah, so it's typically between 5 to 15 seconds.
Okay, so it's just
bring it down. Yeah, because any more than that, and now you're like
endurance.
You're gonna fry.
Yeah, your endurance.
Your endurance is gone, and two, you're gonna hold your breath and like get dizzy.
So here, this is funny too. By the way, I don't know if you were in here, Adam. We were talking, and Justin, obviously, this is a lot of training, and he's got this huge goal, and he's like, I need to get motivated. I need an enemy. I need somebody to chase. Whatever. He's such a negative motivation person. So I told Justin.
This is where we all differ, right? Like I was actually talking about this on my series a bit, but yeah.
See, the problem is, I identified a problem, Justin. You're so liked by our audience that every comment is so encouraging.
Yeah.
What you need,
more my people.
What you need are some of our fans to talk shit to you.
Why are you trying to bring all this in, dude?
Because it'll work.
It will.
Obviously, anybody who watched my series,
I like the encouragement.
Anybody who watched my series saw all the challenges and hurdles I had. What are you encountering anything that has been frustrating or challenging a little bit right now? Like tell me a little bit more about what's going on inside.
It's overthinking, and it's psychologically. I wrestle every day whether or not I can do it, and I think I feel like I have a good plan, but I just don't. I've never displayed all this publicly. It's like I work best in the shadows. Like I like to do my own thing, and I like to experiment and see where my limits are, and to put it out there like a tangible number, and have that as like the determiner whether it's like a success or failure is kind of like it's psychologically messing with me.
Yeah.
And every time I work out, I want my tendency is like, well, I want to check and see if I can do it, and I have to press myself to that like right away.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the patience is really challenging for me.
Something that Sal said to me that really helped during my series when I think it was probably the second time.
I said something that helped you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every once in a while you say something really smart.
Cool.
Yeah. He said something to me that it resonated, right? And it made me, because I had similar pressures of like, man, I've put this goal out to go do this. Now I knew I could do it, or I felt confident I could do it, but I'm like, there's a lot of pressure that comes with putting it out there, documenting the whole thing, putting a time frame on it, and so I can totally relate to that. And then of course I started getting these injuries, and I was like, well, this fucking sucks.
Right.
Like,
That's a setback.
Yeah. And then of course you're thinking to yourself like, this is just going to make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. And so,
totally.
Sal said to me, he goes, listen, he goes, the fact that you're not maybe getting the results you want, or you're not succeeding, or you have setbacks, is more relatable, and more people are going to learn and get more value from it than if you just smash the goal. Yeah. Even though your ego tells you that's what you want to go do. So giving yourself that permission to not hit it and to fail is actually a really empowering thing, that it's like, hey, what you're doing and what you're teaching or showing is so valuable. And let's be honest, many people set goals and don't hit them.
Most people.
So the fact that might happen to you is totally okay. It's how you deal with it along the way, and how you respond to it, and what you did to get there, and whatever. There's where the gold and the value lies. And so giving myself that permission to fail, or know that, this may not go the way I think it did, really helped me through that whole that pressure that I was, that extra pressure I was applying to myself that I probably didn't need to be applying. So again, I'll say the same thing to you.
Yeah.
I think that
I'll have to hear that a few more times. It's not going to sink.
Because what people are getting already, I think from watching it, is really valuable.
It's
I
real.
think just watching you work through that process is been really cool, and I think that they're getting tremendous value already. Whether you hit 275, 290, 350 is actually really irrelevant. I mean, it's cool, and it'll be cool if you hit it. Really cool.
No, and I appreciate that. And I like, my logical brain says that, and I can totally hear that, but my other brain is like, back into athlete mode, where you just like all hell or high water kind of a thing. And so, it's kind of balancing both of those it's tough. And I think that's really is the challenging roller coaster I'm on right now.
Yeah, well, your body's transforming. This guy's looking like his delts are
husky.
Yeah, dude, what's going on? Anyway,
I'm going for beefcake.
I got to ask you guys, what's the number one thing you guys notice when you do a good job of increasing your vegetable intake? What are the top few things that you guys
consistent energy? I don't have the dips.
Okay.
It feels like I have this
way
nice
better poops.
Digestion. Me too.
Yeah, I would put digestion up there too.
Yeah. Do you guys notice an improvement in inflammation?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
I do. Yeah,
big difference in inflammation.
I don't know if I've connected that.
So there's a couple things that affect my inflammation. One is if I eat foods that are intolerant, or if I eat junk food, I could definitely feel more inflamed. Then if I'm eating healthy, but I include a decent amount of, especially greens, I do notice less inflammation. So the reason why I bring this up is because I'm trying to connect the dots between vegetables and inflammation, and Organifi's green juice and inflammation. Is it going to make as big of a difference? So I'm going to start using it regularly. I'm not doing a good job with vegetables, and I'm doing all this deep stretching. Right. Long story short, I'm trying to improve my mobility. I'm preparing myself to potentially go back to jiu-jitsu. I'm not flexible at all, so I'm doing everything I can. So what I'm now doing is I'm starting to leverage my diet in a way that helps with mobility, which reduces inflammation. Yeah. So I'm going to start using the green juice regularly to see if that makes a big
This is always how I've used the green juices. I remember who was the doctor when we first started, when we were at the other studio, the very first
Wall.
Dr. Terry Wall.
Dr. Terry Wall.
When Terry Wall, Dr. Terry Wall came on our show and talked to us about the amount of vegetables that we should be intaking was like, and it was nowhere near, wasn't even near my best day. Was just like so enlightening to me. And then
She's the one that reversed her MS.
And then I remember after that really being conscious of that and going after way more than I read. And I remember how good I felt eating more vegetables than I've ever ate in my life. And it was very obvious to me at that point, like, oh boy, I can eat this. Now the way I do it, I still try that. My goal is always to try it. But then when I don't, because I've recognized the benefits of that, it's like, this is where I make the effort to like, okay, at least I'm going to get this green juice in. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, my goal is to try to get 3 to 4 good sized servings of vegetables every day. The reality of that is I miss that a lot. And so that's where the green juices come in incredibly handy to me, because I've already seen the benefits of when I'm consistent with that. And again, we always recommend people go through the whole foods, right? We had this, that's how we started this podcast. That is what, but here's an example of where the supplement makes sense and helps, is that
it's a priority right now for me, because I need to improve my mobility. Otherwise I'm going to come back injured. So we'll see how it works.
Are you, for sure? I mean, are you signed up? What's
90%. I'm giving myself a month to really, I'm only lifting twice a week. So first time in.
Oh, so we're okay. So did you already use up your 2 days this week?
Yeah, I saw you in here Monday.
Because I feel like you already, I know I've seen you train already at least once.
So Monday and Thursday.
That's what you're doing.
I may do 3 days a week, depending. We'll see how I feel. But right now it's 2 days a week of strength training. And then it's 3 days a week of, it's going to be things to improve my mobility. But I'm starting with flexibility. And so what I'm doing on those 3 days is I actually go to where I have access to a sauna, and I do 30 minutes of static stretching in the sauna just to improve range of motion. Now, why the sauna? It dampens my CNS and allows me to get deeper than I normally would. It's brutal, but I mean, literally, I never do 30 minutes.
It's also like killing 2 birds with 1 stone too. You get the benefits of what sauna is great for. It's easier for stretching.
So I'm just in there and I know what kind of flexibility I need for jiu-jitsu because I did it for so long. Hip flexibility is one of them. I need quad flexibility because you'll sit back on your heels when you're in someone's guard or whatever. My quads are so tight. And then there's rotational flexibility I need to work on. So I'm working a lot on those things.
I can't wait to see how you feel and look from reducing dramatically the amount of volume that you've been doing for as long as you've been doing.
Yeah.
I think that.
Well, I'm going to encourage you guys not to point it out too much because it'll get. Well, I'm telling you right now.
He doesn't want to think about it.
Well, no, there's two directions I could go with this. Yeah. One is where I'm like obsessing about it. 2 is this could easily turn into a pride thing. So I could have turned away from one thing and then turned it into a look how cool I am, look what I can do, I can transform and I can move and I can whatever. And pride is a nasty
What do you need from us?
sin. Hugs.
Okay.
Hugs and love. And
a little back rub.
No, you guys are perfect. You know, I'm telling you guys what to do. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Swear to God, I love you guys. You guys are the best. You guys always know what to do. So
do your thing. We'll figure it out.
Do your thing.
Yeah, I will be.
I don't want to do the wrong thing either.
I
think
you went into this with the right attitude, the right way. You're not trying to prove or show anything.
Right.
This is all for your own personal journey. And so I'm just personally curious because I think what you're going to get and revealed from it is, even though that's not your goal, I think the fittest, healthiest version of you is going to be revealed.
I know mentally healthy for sure.
Yeah, and that's for sure. Well, you already know that. You're going to get that. I actually think, just like you always preach, the chasing health is going to give you even the better aesthetics.
Who said that stupid quote?
I know. So I think that's one of the most interesting parts. I mean, and I also get it because although we're different in a lot of ways, and I have not the same extreme version of addiction to the training and stuff like that as you do, but this has been a thing for me for like the last 10 years. Like it's been a thing I've been watching and paying attention to, and I've kind of played with the extremes of not working out for long periods of time, and I've been on both ends of the spectrum, and it's pretty wild. It's really cool though because we've invested so much of our lives into training and building all this muscle that you've got a lot invested. You know what I'm saying? You've got a lot of security. You got a lot of financial security in the muscle
more
world.
And more comfortable with it as time goes on. Very encouraging comments from listeners and stuff on that whole episode. I'm reading the comments. They're so encouraging. So that's really good. It's really good to hear that. I didn't do it for that. I didn't say it on the podcast. I said it on the podcast to make it real. But man, it is really encouraging to hear people's feedback. So really appreciate everybody.
Been cool.
Good digestive enzymes will help you break down your food, get better digestion, get the protein, carbs, and fats to your muscles and your body to get better results. The best digestive enzymes on the market are MAPS enzymes. We love them. They are for fit people. Go check them out. Go to bioptimizers.com. That's bioptimizers.com/mind pump. Use the code mindpump10. Get 10% off. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
First question is from Paulo Rueca. What's the recommended tempo for 8 to 10 rep range? Would you change it for raw power or muscle endurance?
So the tempo refers to the speed at which you perform the reps. Okay, so that's what this person's asking. There's benefit to different tempos of lifting. A slower tempo would be like, it takes you 4 seconds to lower the weight. Then you bring it up for 2 seconds. A fast tempo would be obviously the way it sounds, right? You go down and up very quickly. They're all valuable. They're all beneficial. However, I will say this. For most people, the risk versus reward ratio is best with a more controlled tempo, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Now,
More balanced.
if you're an athlete and you want power, you're advanced, you got great stability, great control.
All concentric, just explosive.
You could do explosive on the lift part, and that's going to give you some power benefits. But I mean, I'll be honest, like 99.9% of the clients that I trained, we use the controlled tempo because it's just risk versus reward. It's the best. It's a low risk of injury in comparison to other tempos, and you still get great results. You build muscle, you still get great. The return is still great on it.
Yeah, we used to have this really good, and I can't remember if it was from NASM or which one of my national certs it was in, but they had a really cool 4 quadrants, and there was like power, strength, hypertrophy, endurance, and each one of those represented the rep ranges. Single rep max, 3 to 5, 8 to 10, and then 15 plus. Right, that's the 4 quadrants. Each one of them had ideal tempos for each one. Hypertrophy typically is like a 4-2-2. Your power is a 1-1-1. So there are these generic tempos that tend to lend themselves well for types of training. That being said, there's a case for manipulating all of those.
Yeah.
And there's also a case for what Sal said, which is depending on what level my client is at, I'm going to take the tempo 4-2-2, right? That's a really slow tempo in comparison to the rest for all these phases for right now. Because right now, I'm going to mess with the rep ranges, but I'm going to keep the tempo slow and controlled for a long time in their journey until they get to a place where they can really control weight and they really understand the movement and they're really good at that. They've reaped all the benefits of the 2 years that you're going to get just from simply manipulating rep ranges and exercises. Right. Now I'm talking to this person. They've been with me for 2-3 years. And it's like, hey, let's explore what power looks like. Let's do like 1-1-1. I mean, this client is now very advanced. They understand what's supposed to be working, firing. They get the form, technique. They've already gone through plenty of cycles and rounds of manipulating rep ranges. And so now we can start to play with tempo within the rep ranges. And there's a case to be made that you can mess with what is normally a power tempo in a hypertrophy phase. If you've never done that, then you could do that, and it would be novel, and then therefore it would have some benefits. So tempo is a great tool, but it's one of the later things that I do. I kind of wait to really start to manipulate that. I'm with Sal. Most of my clients, I choose a really slow tempo until you get the mechanics down.
Build the control first.
Yeah, 100%. And again, just to put it differently, right? If your form is off a little bit with a controlled slow tempo, you're probably okay. But then you do that fast, you're going to cause problems. So the fast tempos, the power tempos,
most risky, I would say.
Only use those if you've got it down. You've got the technique, you've got the skill down. Yeah. Then use those fast tempos, and then the fast tempos are amazing. Otherwise, I'd stay away from those because if you're not perfect with your form slow, it's going to be bad when you're fast.
Next question is from Kristen J. Leash. I have done a round of MAPS15 Advanced and loved it, and then got excited to switch to Anabolic for the change in my weekly schedule. However, after 2 weeks, I felt my recovery was tanking hard after long days. I'm in perimenopause, and I'm resigned to the fact that I have to go back to shorter daily sessions instead of 2 to 3 longer sessions per week. What do you recommend I do? MAPS15 again?
Yep, MAPS15 Performance. Yeah. You can go between MAPS15 Performance and MAPS15. And when someone says, by the way, MAPS15 Advanced, what they're referring to is MAPS15. In MAPS15,
Right.
there's
a barbell version.
There's a barbell version of it that we refer to as the advanced version. Okay, so no, go back to it. By the way, I get the whole I resign myself to this fact because
it's not a less than situation.
You're going to get great results. You did get great results. Go back to it.
It's what fits best with your situation.
Look, I'm at the point now in my understanding of fitness and strength training where I think it's probably best for most people to do short daily strength training sessions versus 2 or 3 longer ones.
It's the culture. Yeah. It fits best with most people's lifestyle.
I also think it fits best with recovery and results. In other words, you could do 2 45-minute sessions a week or do 1 15-minute every day. Same everything. I think the short sessions are better for most people. I really, really do.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I feel like Kristen knows this, and she knows the answer because she's felt it. She already felt it. She knows it. I think it's just looking for the permission or the nod that that's what you should do. You absolutely should, and your body is telling you that. And to the guy's point, it's not lesser. You're going to get better results, and you doing anabolic or aesthetic or muscle mommy or some other one is not a better program for you. And your bodies are, and you'll get more results. You'll get better results by following MAPS15. So you could, if you wanted to, toggle between MAPS15 and MAPS15 Performance. So if you want to get a little bit of a novel stimulus, because there's different movements inside that, but they both follow that shorter protocol. There's totally nothing wrong with that. There'd be benefits to that. So if you're not going to go back to MAPS15, which is totally fine too, MAPS15 Performance would be a great way to kind of toggle back and forth between those until you're in a period of time in your life where you feel like your body can handle more.
And I got to say, even the original MAPS15, it was so well put together and so balanced. All of our programs are valuable, but we'll tell most people to move out of one after a while because it's got strengths and weaknesses. MAPS15 is pretty well balanced. And especially if you follow it up with MAPS15 Performance, you're going to have those short daily workouts. You could forever go 15 Performance, 15 Performance. You've got all your bases covered by those 2 programs.
Next question is from Ernie Meyer. How important is it to line up your feet perfectly when squatting and deadlifting? How do you line up your feet without overthinking it?
Well, just make sure they're together. I mean, make sure they're balanced. Is it important? Yeah, you don't want one
shoulder
foot.
width.
Yeah, you don't want one foot in front of the other because that could cause problems. So they should be lined up. But I don't know what you mean by overthinking it. Are you measuring it?
I mean, there's a lot of debate here on foot position for squatting and deadlifting. That there's a lot of national certs that advocate for perfectly neutral, straightforward toes. Mm-hmm. Then there's a lot of people that talk about having a slight external rotation.
Oh, is that what they're talking about? I feel like they're talking about lining them up where they match.
No. This person's talking about that. That's what I get from this. And that's normally what is asked or where people overthink.
They can be turned out a little bit.
How far out, or do I keep them neutral? And so there is the first thing that I always like to teach the client is I don't even tell them anything, but I just have them walk up to the bar and I look at the way they just naturally stand.
What's most comfortable immediately.
Exactly. And a lot of times most people have a slight external rotation. Now what I do want them to look even on each side. I don't want the left one to be wide open and then the right one is narrow, right? Because then that shows me there's a glaring discrepancy, from left to right. And then I'm actually not even going to do any bilateral work with that person. I'm going to do a lot of unilateral and fix that. But let's say you walk up and you have this kind of external rotation. That's where you're squatting and deadlifting from right now. Now, that being said, that's kind of your normal natural position. I think there's tremendous benefit in learning how to squat with your feet in all different positions. There's a benefit to shoulder width apart. There's benefit to a narrow stance. There's benefit to a sumo stance. There's benefit to an open stance, a more neutral stance. There's benefits to, and I would like to be able to perform those movements in all of those stances. So I think where we overthink this is like critiquing each other and being like, that's wrong. Like you shouldn't, your feet are too open. It's like, if you can perform it with no pain and good mobility and good work, it's an exercise. And all of them are exercises. So I think there's value to learning to be able to squat and deadlift in all those foot positions.
Next question is from MF Swellness. Where do you see AI in 5 to 10 years in relation to strength training, programming, nutrition plans, and mental emotional support?
Oh, this is a good question. I think when it comes to general strength training programming and general nutrition planning, it's going to be far superior to Google is. It's far superior to just going online and trying to find things. Do I think it's going to be better than a good experienced coach? No. Now let me kind of go a little deeper. Let's just say, for argument's sake, and this could be possible. Who knows? I mean, AI is really trippy right now. Let's just say in 10 years that AI has the programming know-how and the diet programming know-how in terms of knowing how to adjust and individualize based on the person. They're just as good or better than a coach. Do I think they're going to be as good as a coach? No, because the human element is so valuable in coaching. It's in fact, I would say it's the most valuable thing. Like what I told my clients to do was valuable, but the way I did it and the way I connected to them was more valuable than the actual what I did. Now, when AI is indistinguishable from a human, that's a completely different conversation.
Well, as it currently stands, it's based off of your input, which is inherently a flaw, because we know as trainers, we have to probe the right questions. We have to really like dig in further to find out more information. A lot of times that's not even revealed. We can just know based upon, experience where this is all the trajectory is leading this client. So we'll make micro adjustments. And a lot of times too, is what you present the client to shape and cultivate the behavior in a better direction, which I don't think AI is sophisticated in that regard either.
So 2 great points you both made, and I have thoughts around both of them. Like yours, Justin, is actually how I think AI is going to be really neat in the future. Like imagine that you had an app that there had a series of the same series of questions you used to ask your client.
Yeah.
How'd you sleep last night? How'd you do on your diet today? How do you feel right now? Right? That from
Just
there,
keep logging all that data.
Yes, you keep logging that data, and from there, the AI then modifies the intensity and the exercises based off the feedback that's being prompted. I think that is going to be neat, and I think it could get pretty damn good. I think it could get so good it's probably better than a lot of trainers, like 90% of trainers. There still is going to be that 10% that are elite level that's going to be hard for AI, but AI could replace 90% and only leave room for the 10% that are super elite. That's to your point. Your point, even when it's indistinguishable, will we still get the oxytocin benefits?
So when I say indistinguishable, I mean, and I don't know if this is possible, Adam, but let's just say that's the thing. If it's identical to human interaction, then it doesn't matter. But I don't know if it'll ever be identical.
Right. I don't know.
And there's a trust factor here too. Like 2 people could give me the exact same advice. Okay. But one of them I know and trust. That's going to be more valuable. Or even the person I know and trust gives me a little worse advice, but it's better for me because that's the person I know and trust. So the human element is so important in that regard. Like as a coach and a trainer, what makes a coach and trainer valuable, 10% of it is that they know what to tell you to do. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. That's 10% of it. Now that's a big percent, but it's still, that's about it. The 90% that makes a really good coach and trainer really good is they have the trust, the connection, and the person really feels that they have their best intentions and trusts them and goes with them. That's what makes a really good coach extremely invaluable. Will AI be able to do that? I think it's going to take a long time. Theoretically, maybe. But until it can do that, no, it doesn't matter.
We already know there's already like a human who is talking to or communicating with another human virtually versus in person
doesn't cause the same thing.
Is different. So I would think that even when AI gets really good and these robots are really good, I would question.
No, it'd have to be a humanoid that looks and feels exactly like
so
like
exactly.
yeah,
so indistinguishable that you'd have no idea that you think you're talking to a human. I would think for it to produce those same chemicals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah.
And if it is very interesting, then we have a very interesting conversation debate. But I mean, I think it could get close, and I think it could help. Just like would any of you guys want to see video? Conversations go away. I mean, it's been an awesome tool for me. I mean, I love that my son gets to connect to his grandmother 5 hours away every single week now because of that. But I also recognize that I couldn't only do that, and I couldn't rob him of in-person meeting his family.
There was a recent study where they took a bunch of patients and their medical history, and they sent it to a group of experienced doctors, and then they sent it to AI. And the AI outperformed the doctors in diagnosing. Now, does that mean the AI is going to be more valuable? No, I think it could add to the value of the human element of the doctor. Now, if you have a shitty doctor who has no human element and they just tell you what you got, well, okay, then go with the AI. But if it's like that human element is the thing that makes the difference between a good coach and a bad coach, or a coach and just information on the internet. So what I think is good coaches
It's going to replace a lot of bad actors.
Well,
yes, and I think good coaches are going to use AI.
Yeah, that's
They're
what I
going to
mean.
use AI.
It's
going to be integrated.
Yes.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt it's going to be integrated, and it's going to be an incredible tool. So the science nerd Sal would say to you, then define that, because it is what the human element, define that for me, because could we develop that? In other words, a human is empathetic and understanding and reads emotion. Like, what if you could program it to be empathetic, to read emotion, to know how to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it reads body
language, temperature.
You could, but you have to, but it would also have to be in person and appear to look, smell, feel like a human to be the same.
Yeah.
Because there's a human element that comes from being in person, from touch, from gaze, so now when we can create AI robots that are completely indistinguishable from humans, we got a whole other set of problems. This is not, nobody cares about this. At that point, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, we for sure are really close to like this. I mean, I already think that
what do you speculate it looks like in 10 years? Because like I keep thinking it's kind of like something that's talking to you in your ear.
Yep. That's what I think.
And it's just like real time, like kind of just little micro adjustments. Like you might want to consider resting a little bit longer.
I actually see it as a caddy to the trainer.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. It's not to the individual. I think it's like
you're Luke Skywalker, but
the first version of this, in my opinion, the first version of this, in my opinion, is going to be a tool for trainers to use to be better at diagnosing, better at prescribing, better at their job.
It'll make them better.
That will be the first version. Maybe the evolution of that is an actual humanoid, robot that comes in and does this type of stuff. But the first, I think, is going to be a tool.
I feel like that's 50 years out. I don't feel robots.
Yeah, you're right.
I think so too. I do too. I don't think we're close to that yet. I think we're really close to these cool apps, cool tools
that you could talk
to. Because I mean, how cool would that be? We're not that far from an app that could take all the data and information that we used to ask our clients, and then literally
clone us.
And then, exactly. And then it's like, when my client tells me they got poor sleep, they're in a bad mood, they had stress, and I had this plan, I now cut that in half. I now there's very good principles.
There are these famous terrible studies that the Soviet Union did with orphans, where they had nurses
without
feed
love,
the orphans, and then they had
no human
orphans
touch.
that would just get hugged and get fed. And the difference in how they thrived was
insane,
remarkable. They did one with monkeys,
where psychopaths, non-psychopaths.
They had one with monkeys where they had a furry pretend monkey, and the monkeys went to it and hugged it and needed that touch. So there's a lot more that we don't understand with that human element. But if you're just looking at information, I mean, it's going to be great for just information. Absolutely.
It's here to stay, and trainers that aren't finding ways to adopt and utilize it will get left in the dust.
Totally.
Like they're for sure you're going to get passed by, because even if you're a badass trainer, the trainer who's not very good but has learned how to use AI within their business will surpass you.
Yeah,
that's what I think. And I think what you'll see is at the top will be really good trainers who also know how to integrate AI into their business. That's will be successful. If you are already cocky and think you're such a great trainer, I don't need that, and you don't adopt and use it, you're going to get passed by lesser trainers that know how to use that tool.
Right. All right. I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. Shredded, ripped, defined, single-digit body fat.
Yes.
You want to get there? Let's talk about it.
Difficult. And is it worth it? That's a follow-up question.
Yeah. First off, we got to say that, okay, so single-digit body fat, obviously, body fat percentages that can be represented by one digit, like 3%, 5%, 6%, 9%. That's ripped for men. For women,
add 10%.
Yeah, exactly. You go up about